Breaking up with a friend, it can be just as gut-wrenching as ending a romantic relationship. But here's the thing. We almost never talk about how to do it. It just becomes this silent, awkward, really painful process. So, okay, let's actually dive into this. Let's find a more mindful way through it. We've all been there, right? That feeling when an invitation from a certain friend pops up on your phone and your first reaction isn't joy, it's a sense of dread or obligation. It's a really common but isolating feeling, and honestly, it's the first big clue that something isn't right. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about that knot in your stomach. Then, we'll get into recognizing the unhealthy signs. After that, we'll look at 3 different ways to end it, how to heal afterwards, and finally, what your path forward can look like. Let's start right there with that physical feeling. It is so real and it is so powerful. That knot in your stomach, that's your body telling you something long before your mind is even ready to admit it. And for some of us, this gets even more complicated. Culture can add this whole other layer of pressure. For people like many South Asian women, for example, there can be this deep-seated expectation to just maintain social harmony, no matter what. And that can create this profound sense of guilt for even thinking about putting your own well-being first. So how do we get from that kind of vague, uneasy feeling to a place of real clarity? Well, this is where we learn to actually trust our intuition and start looking for the concrete signs. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We doubt ourselves. We wonder, am I being too sensitive? Am I overreacting? But the good news is there are clear signals that can help cut right through all that confusion. Honestly, it often just comes down to listening to your body. That tension you get in your shoulders right before you meet up with them, or the headache you get after a phone call, or that all too familiar knot in your stomach. These things aren't random. They are valuable signals trying to get your attention. The signs? They're usually right there in front of us when we finally look. Just think about how you feel around this person. Do you find yourself constantly walking on eggshells? Or do you leave a hangout feeling emotionally drained instead of energized? Maybe you realize the whole friendship is one-sided, or that you just can't be your authentic self. These are all huge indicators that the dynamic has become unhealthy. And this right here, this is the core truth you really need to let sink in. I'll say it again. Prioritizing your emotional well-being isn't selfish, it is absolutely necessary. Okay, so you've seen the signs, now what? The goal here isn't some dramatic, bridge-burning confrontation. Nope. It's about finding a way to get closure with compassion and, just as importantly, with self-respect. So this gives us a pretty practical toolkit with 3 main paths. For those really close, deep friendships with a lot of history, the conversation is probably the best route. And the key is using I statements like, I feel drained instead of you are draining, to avoid blame. For less intimate friendships, gradual distance, what some people call the fade out, can actually be a kinder approach. And finally, when you can't totally separate, like with a coworker, it's all about setting clear boundaries. You decide your limits and then you stick to them. I really love this quote because it completely reframes the whole idea of boundaries, doesn't it? It's not some wall you're building to punish someone, it's a line you're drawing to protect yourself. It really is a profound act of self-respect. So the break has happened, whether it was a big conversation or a slow fade, but the work isn't over. Now comes the healing part, and it deserves just as much attention and care. It's so important to treat this like any other big loss. You can think of the healing process in about 3 steps. First, honor your grief. It is absolutely okay to mourn the good times and the friendship you thought you had. Second, work on releasing the guilt. You have to keep reminding yourself that you're creating space for healthier connections. And finally, use this as an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. The hobbies, the values, the parts of you that maybe got a little bit lost along the way. And this is the hopeful truth at the very center of all of this. An ending isn't just a loss, it's an opening. It's a space. By letting go of what drains you, you are literally making room for what nourishes you. You gotta trust that process. All right, let's bring this all together. We've gone from that pain to recognizing it, from taking action to healing. Now let's talk about your path forward. Look,
If you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. A friendship breakup is not a personal failure. It is a courageous, powerful act of self-care. It's you choosing your own authenticity over obligation, and when you do that, you clear the ground for real, genuine connections to finally take root and grow.
It really all boils down to this simple but honestly pretty profound idea. Healthy goodbyes clear the way for healthier hellos. When you learn to end relationships with respect for yourself, you get so much better at starting new ones on the right foot. So, I want to leave you with this, a final practical question you can use. Try asking yourself this every night. What interaction filled my cup today? It's a small practice, sure, but it trains your mind to recognize what a nourishing, supportive, and healthy connection actually feels like. And that awareness, that's the key to building a life filled with them.